What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Banana Pod. I am Flamingo Ron, and this is Fox Hard. Today, we are going to be talking about everything from Microsoft buying Discord, keyboards, Nintendo, and some of the new games that we're playing. Hope everybody's having a good day, and let's get it going.
So how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How have you been? It's been a little while since we've done this, so I know.
Yeah.
I think we probably got a couple months of things to kind of catch
So
up on.
I've actually shaved my beard and regrown a beard in the time since our last podcast.
Wow, you shaved your beard and grown it back. I probably lost 5 pounds in game 10. So welcome back, man. It's good to see you. It's good to see you, man. I hope you've been well.
Yeah, been pretty good.
Cool. You've been playing games, I'm assuming, right? Been hanging out playing some games?
Yeah.
I see you doing your thing
All
on the
day.
internet. Let's see. All day, every day.
All day, every day.
Guys, if you don't know, this man right here is an absolute Apex Legends playing machine. He can sit in like a single square room, put him in front of a screen with Apex Legends, and you just need to water him like a plant and make sure he doesn't die. That's it. You need to sit there and play Apex until he can't. So say it's probably about fair?
No, maybe. I like to play for a couple hours a day.
A couple of hours for him turns into a 12-hour a 12-hour Fox Hard live stream of just absolute just madness when it comes to Apex.
Only sometimes.
Yeah.
I want to play for 2 hours a day. Sometimes it turns into 7, and it's not ideal,
Sometimes
but it happens.
Hey, as gamers, sometimes you wake up, you sit down, you play a game, and it morphs from 2 hours into a 7-hour game marathon, and you know what? It's not bad. So today, guys, we're going to talk about the very first thing we're going to talk about is our friends at Microsoft. We talked about last time and all their Game Pass acquisitions and all the madness going on over there. It has continued. This week, big news story is Microsoft is trying to buy Discord for something like, how much was it that they were trying to buy Discord for?
$10 billion.
$10 billion for Microsoft to buy Discord. I think that is crazy. We both use Discord here. Me and Foxhard, we both use Discord. I think everybody who plays games really nowadays has used Discord, and it's really one of the best platforms out there.
Yeah.
I would say specifically for me, Discord is my most used social media. Between Twitter and Instagram and all that, I always go to Discord to see what's going on with a lot of the communities I'm in, because that's what it does, is it lets you be part of a community, and that's great.
Yeah, I didn't even really know what Discord was till like a couple years ago when I started PC gaming again. I just thought it was a voice app, but it's so much more than that. It's like a whole community. Like you post I'm a member of a couple Discords, and everyone's just posting like pictures of their pets and like all these different things. It's just like a little community, and I didn't really know that's what it was. I thought it was like a voice app that people used.
Yeah, so before Discord, I was a Skype guy. Oddly enough, with Microsoft being involved, when I would play games with the friends, we would always get into a Skype call. Did you ever use TeamSpeak?
No.
So I know TeamSpeak was a big one was a chatting service. Yeah. What else was there, really? There was TeamSpeak, there was Skype. You think of anything else that there was?
No, not for. I'm sure there was things, but like I said, I wasn't really hardcore into PC.
Yeah,
PC gaming.
It was like, I think maybe it was like Mumble. It was either Mumble or Whisper was one of the ones that we used a little bit too. And they all sucked, realistically. Like Skype gobbled up all of your RAM. Skype was just a resource hog. TeamSpeak, I was too dumb to use it, to be honest with you. I think Mumble was relatively okay, but none of them were like Discord. Discord is just it just works like 99.99% of the time. You can get into a voice call or you can get into a voice chat. It has integrated video, and like a personal favorite of mine is I just like spamming emotes. I mean, honestly, I don't think I can live without spending my $5 a month or $10 a month or whatever it even is for Discord Nitro, because it's so good that I don't mind spending the money to have the extra goodies of it.
It's funny you mentioned Nitro, because I don't really know too many people besides you that have that, which brings up another topic. Discord definitely can't be making money.
You don't think so?
No.
Why not? I think there's a lot more people that buy Nitro than you think.
I don't think there's enough for like the server cost of streaming live video for like millions of people constantly. Like, and all the money they make is like a couple bucks from Nitro from like one out of every like 100 to 200,000 users. Like
So
they were directly asked if they were like profitable. I think at one
see
point they
that
declined to say.
they did.
So I
And
don't think they are. If they were, they would probably say.
well, they made $120 million in sales in 2020. 2019, it looks like it was what 70 million. That's a huge jump. That's a huge jump. And the valuation is $3.5 billion.
Yeah,
And you
like
said Microsoft was
I think the valuation is just based on because it's recognition, right? It's not because it's a profitable company.
it has 140 million active users. That's a lot. 140 million active users.
Yeah, yeah. But it's
But I
like
mean
it's
that
not making money from too many of those people.
well, I think there's a lot of money being left on the table by consoles not using Discord. Like so obviously if Microsoft does this acquisition, you would imagine one of the first things they would do is try to integrate Xbox with Discord, and two, have Xbox Live be able to get instead of a party chat. I would imagine they would move away from Xbox Live party chats
Yeah,
to all Discord because if they're going to make that big of an investment into this software, why wouldn't they?
yeah. That's like the positive to me because I play Apex or whatnot with people from Xbox constantly, and Apex in-game chat is fucking terrible. People on console do not have Discord, so then you end up using the Xbox chat, and if you're streaming, that's just like a headache. That's just another audio source you have to try to figure out. Like, like I have hotkeys to mute my Discord because it's something I use all the time, but like I don't even know if you could do that for the Xbox chat. So it's just like I end up using my headset mic and having a second mic to flip so I can mute who I'm talking to in game if I'm talking to people in chat, and it's just a pain in the ass.
No, I get that 100%. I think that is definitely probably what they're thinking of. Obviously, my concern is where I think Microsoft would really kill it is buy it and then license it out to Sony because so many more games are going crossplay now with cross platform. And if everybody can just connect in a Discord, it would make it a lot easier. Like integrate the Sony app with Discord, Xbox with Discord, and PC with Discord.
Yeah,
Because if you're signed in now, I would imagine you could just click in game, join in game VC, and they would just have a dedicated server. Click in game, join in game VC, and you would just be pulled into a Discord call if you wanted to do that.
yeah.
I don't think that's a terrible idea.
The problem with that idea is like, would Sony even license it though?
If there's enough pressure from the PC market and Xbox, I think they would. Because Microsoft licenses Blu-ray discs for Xbox games, and more as time goes on, Sony is finally starting to release their exclusives to PC. So I think they're coming along a little bit to the idea of not just doing their own thing.
I disagree. Well, a little bit. I feel
That's fine.
like
Go ahead. Tell me
Sony
about it.
doesn't want to play nice with other companies. Like they rarely want to, you know?
Well, speaking of Sony not playing nice with other companies, my concern with this is Microsoft fucks up everything just about that they try to do. Um, you know, let's talk about they spent all that money on Mixer and it fucking plummeted. I mean, you had Shroud, the guy, you had Shroud, you had Ninja, and you still fucking flopped.
Yeah, I don't think.
On top of that, when's the last time Skype was relevant? We're talking about a world now where like mobile calls, like we're doing now, mobile calls, video meetings, everything is like more important than ever. And Microsoft squandered it. Like no one talks about it. Very rarely do you hear about Microsoft Teams versus hearing about what Zoom. Zoom is the big one.
Yeah,
No, everything I hear about is Zoom.
people still use Teams, but it's like I think it's just it's very like even Skype has like hundreds of millions of active users.
Does it really?
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it is garbage. But
It is garbage.
that's
So
from
it
like
was
so
good.
long ago too. Like I'm not too concerned with them fucking it up, though it is very very possible.
Well, for me, it's like I'm worried they're gonna dump all this money into buying Discord. All this money, we don't know if it's profitable. So they're gonna spend all this money on Discord. We don't know if it's profitable,
Yeah,
and then they're going to just not do anything with it
I feel
and
like
just send it to hell.
they
Like it's just
wouldn't buy it for it to be profitable
okay.
necessarily in a traditional sense. I think they would somehow integrate it into like Xbox Live Ultimate or something like that.
Think that. So do you? So here, that brings up another point though. Do you think that Game Pass, because that's their whole fucking market plan? Do you think there's really enough profit in the Game Pass thing to one fund all these Microsoft first party exclusives that are here day one to Game Pass? You have EA Play, you have the acquisition of Bethesda now, and then you want to put the acquisition. There's talks with Ubisoft going on to Game Pass, and Discord being involved in Game Pass. Like they put Discord Nitro on Game Pass. Is there really enough? Like, how can they carry their business model with that? What's it, $10-15 a month? How can they carry that with just $15 a month? Is there enough for that to be profitable?
I think there is. It's just what's the user base at now? Like 18 million or something like that.
Let me take a quick look at how many people have Game Pass.
I think the last numbers were 18.
It looks like in July of 2020, it says Xbox Game Pass is not a profit play. So it looks like it's not like highly profitable for them right now. But at the same time, I mean, let me see. There's 10 million people. So 10 million people, $10 a month.
Those numbers are old for sure.
Let's see here. Microsoft, let's see here. So as far as Microsoft, because of who they are, they net $120 million a day, is what it says here, out of all their businesses. So I guess it's one of those things like, where are you just building an empire and some of it's not profitable and some of it is? That's what I don't know.
No,
But
I think that Game Pass is designed to be profitable. Like I said, I think it's like 18 million right now, but that's up from like 10 million last. Like it's going to hit 20 million very very soon if it isn't already there. So if at the lower tier, that's 10. That's like 10 million, or $10, right?
Yeah,
So
$10.
that's $10, but a lot of those people have the $15 thing.
I'm looking right now to see because it talks. You got to wonder how it's profitable for all these developers and stuff. Let's see here. Yeah, it doesn't say. I would have to like research a little more. I am curious though of how Microsoft can keep just dumping money into their gaming business and
Yeah, but I think what they want is like 50 million subscribers.
yeah, and I think they want
So
to
if
be in everybody's.
if they're starting to get 500 million or however the math works out on that,
Mhm.
like a month, that's
Yep.
it's good. It's going
That's
to
a
be
lot.
profitable.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. But
If
obviously,
they're
there's a
making
lot of
6
cost
billion a
too.
year, 6 billion a year from Game Pass, it's pretty good money.
Yeah, I just wonder how they apply it, but yeah, it is good money. So who knows? I really, I mean,
And
obviously
I
they're
feel they're going to
expanding to
raise the
the.
price too.
Oh, it's going.
It's only a matter
It's
of
like,
time before that's $20 a month for like the base.
yep, just like we talked about with game, like we talked about with Netflix. It's only like the price just keeps going up. The only thing is there's no precedent set with a game service like this. Microsoft is really blazing the trail, so it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of works.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely like designed to be profitable.
No, it's definitely designed to be. They wouldn't do it if it wouldn't make money.
Yeah,
They definitely wouldn't. They
but
wouldn't do it if it was a profitable
it's a
idea.
long game for sure.
It's a long game. Yeah, I get that. So Microsoft, they kind of branched into the PC game a little bit with all their all their exclusives pretty much have come to PC. There was another on the PC front of things. I wanted to talk to everybody about is I am into something that Holiday probably is not into, and that would be the mechanical keyboard hobby. It's kind of like it's really niche. It's come a long way. It's come a long way, like even in just the time that I like started to get into it and dip my toe in the water because it's very at first it's very unapproachable and a very expensive hobby to get into. And when you look at it, I think you're paying for a kit to do a keyboard, and that's going to be like a circuit board and like a housing. So let me grab actually one of my keyboards here. So you would pay for just the circuit board, the housing here, and the circuit board. Before you would pay, you know, $300 to $500 for just a kit, and then you'd have to solder each end. Then you'd have to buy your switches to go into the kit, and then after you buy those switches, you then have to take these pins on the back. So if you see the pins on the switch there, which you probably can't, but there's pins on these switches that you then would have to solder into the circuit board one at a time, and it was super time consuming, and you wouldn't know if you had a bad switch or not. It was horrible. Well, what has happened this week, and it's kind of been happening like a little bit by little bit, they are going to go to hot swap circuit boards, so you can just plug in the switches, which is great. And that was like an expensive premium option. Obviously, we're all familiar, probably, with any PC gamers familiar with the glorious PC gaming race. You probably heard of it, Fox.
What are you talking about?
Fox, the brand Glorious. You've heard of the brand Glorious, right?
No, actually, I haven't.
You've never heard of Glorious? Okay,
No.
so Glorious, they're famous for their mouse pads. They started out as a mouse pad company. They're a really small startup, probably maybe 5 years ago, 2015, 2016. They started as making a mouse pad. Then the mouse pad sales led to keyboard wrist rests, which led to them making their own mice. And then the mice business just exploded for them. They made a standard keyboard, just your typical gamer keyboard. It did really good. And now they are famous for having excellent performance for a way cheaper price than what you would pay for like the premium brand. And they are coming out with the Glorious Mechanical Keyboard Pro, which is going to be very exciting for people who want the $600 keyboard, $700 keyboard, and can't afford it. It simply is, it offers just a bunch of features that are in high-end kits. So you're going to have like a gasket that makes the typing experience good. It's got the hot swap switches. It's got good lighting. It's a very specialized layout. So that released this week. People are starting to get their first batches, and it's going really well. All the reviews are coming out. I'm very excited for it. I don't know why I'm into typing on nice keyboards, but once you do it, you'll love it. And those are starting to ship. So I'm going to be doing probably like a review, actually, like a full build and review, and we can kind of do that. And I can tell you a little bit more about keyboards, because I don't think you know a lot about keyboards, do you?
What's to know? They're keyboards. They have letters on them. You press them.
I get it. Okay. Well, do you use a gaming keyboard, or do you use like a standard one?
No, I have a gaming keyboard. It's not mechanical though. I've had mechanical keyboards. I think my last one was like green switches or something. I don't remember.
Okay.
But
so
like,
yeah,
I know the difference between a mechanical and non-mechanical keyboard and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a horribly toxic, expensive hobby, but I'm very excited about it. And I think if anybody's listening to this is into keyboards, you should look into it, because it is going to offer like a lot of like really good features for people that have a budget.
Like when you're talking about a budget now, like that's comparative to like you were saying, like these high-end keyboards that cost like $600. So like, what is the budget? Like, how much does this keyboard cost?
So this keyboard is going to be somewhere around probably $400 before we build it, compared to like $750 is what you're looking at.
Okay. So it's like a relative budget.
Yeah, just like anything, it's all relative of like what's expensive and what's not.
Yeah, I feel like it's that way with pretty much anything once you start to get into like a hobby. Like it was like that with audio receivers. It's like, oh, you can get like, people would be like, oh, I got this Sony receiver. It costs like $200. It's like, well, it's like my Denon receiver costs like $1,200, and then there's like Harman Kardon receivers that cost like $3,000, and it just keeps scaling up. And it's just like, what, like the more you get into the hobby, you just find out these more niche products that just get prohibitive. Well, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
more expensive.
They get cost prohibitive. And it's the same thing with keyboards. You know, you're going to have different materials. Guys would be like, "Oh, this thing is made out of brass and it feels really good." Well, brass is not cheap, and what Glorious has been able to do is they, instead of like having, what you would get is like maybe like a finely machined piece of brass. Well, they're like stamping it. So you still get like the material qualities that you like the characteristics of typing, but it's not as expensive. And the switches are a huge thing. I mean, switches are expensive. The keyboard hobby is exploding out of control. I mean, even just I've been into it for maybe 6 months, and it's so cost prohibitive. And they're bringing it. I think this is going to bring it more mainstream than what a lot of this other stuff has been able to offer. Because spending 170 for a kit for me is a lot more approachable than spending 350 for a kit and then having to learn to solder.
Yeah.
That's like the big difference. That's what I'm excited about. But it's all about budget. Having something that it's a good price for your value. And in gaming anymore, that's like so hit or miss, because sometimes you'll have like a great value, like something that costs like $60 that you would normally pay 100 for, and then other times you kind of get like what our next subject is, where you are going to go to E3 and you get into the E3 convention, and then E3 is trying to going to make you pay extra to go to certain exhibits. So that kind of came out yesterday, and everyone thought it was like a shitty April Fool's attempt, but it wasn't. It was rumored like crazy, and they've backpedaled since, of course, because the internet gets mad and people speak, and then they're like, oh, we can't do this. But the paywall stuff has been crazy lately.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
to like, are you talking about like fully digital? Are you
Yeah,
talking about like in person?
digital. E3 is all digital this year, so it's not going to be in person because of the pandemic.
They want you to pay to access
Yes.
certain, like, what
Mm-hmm.
exactly?
I'm assuming that like talking about like presentations.
But
So like say like what I'm guessing is like Sony was like, why should we come to your presentation when we can just do a PlayStation now? That's what I'm going to guess. And I really think the days of E3 are over. I loved E3. I used to look forward to it in the summertime, getting on G4 TV and watching like the Xbox and Nintendo and Sony and everybody getting up there on stage and doing their thing. But those days are, for me, those days are over, because as soon as Nintendo started doing directs, and as soon as Sony started doing PlayStation Nows, and even just a couple of weeks ago, Square Enix did their Square thing. I mean, it's just, I think they're grasping at straws, trying to offer these companies money to come do it, and then put it behind a paywall.
well, it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because you want people to watch it. That's the whole point of it. You don't want to put like anything into people's way to watch these things. That's the whole point of them, is you want people to get excited for the whatever they're showing. Number one. Number two, I still think like E3 will be around in a different form. I just like the idea that like everyone mutually agreeing, like, this week we're gonna show all the new shit. I don't care if it's like part of E3, but I would like say like even if it's like over like in a month, I'd love for like Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, everyone to be like, okay, we're gonna have a show, and each take a week, so like you could fully explore everything. Like that'd be awesome. I don't like this like sporadic, random. Like E3 was awesome because like I'd get hyped, man. I would like take that day off work. I'd take that day off work and just fucking watch coverage on like all day. It was so exciting, and I actually loved the actual stage, like the stage show. Even if they did dumb shit, I'd still like. I just loved watching it. It was so exciting to me because you'd have like hits of nostalgia, and like even having crowds there, people getting hyped for like video games, like your favorite game, and they come up with a new one and everyone's screaming. It was just so exciting to me.
It was a spectacle.
Yeah,
it was just a complete spectacle. That was like what's so great about it.
But like, I don't know. They need to figure something out, because like
I want
that.
These packages were going to be $35. $35 to see their premium content is what they were going to charge.
It's a fucking press conference. The whole point of it is people watch it.
And it's gonna be on the news. Like, I don't understand what their thought process was. Hey, we're gonna charge $35, and then somebody's gonna report on it. Like it'll be on Twitter in 5 minutes. So what was
I could see if it was like $35 and you get like into like a Q&A with the game's director, and you get to ask them questions. like, hey, Hideo Kojima, like, where'd you come up with this idea or something? That would be
Yeah.
that would make sense, but not like just to watch a fucking press conference. That's insane.
It doesn't make especially digitally. Even like just because you're not there. I don't know what like I don't know what the thought was, but they've backpedaled on it since then. You know, it got out of hand real quick,
Yeah.
0 to 100 real quick, and now it's back down. Like, oh, we're sorry. You know, we're very sorry that you guys made us. You know, you were not going to pay for it. Is what it
Another
really
thing
comes
that makes sense is if like you paid that $35 and you got like alpha access to like the games, certain games and stuff
Mhm.
like that. That would make sense. I'd probably
Yep.
do that. But like just to watch content that is probably just like game news and stuff is ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. The paywall thing is, I mean, everybody's just trying to see what they can get out of your wallet. Is really what it is. And instead of doing marketing studies, they're like, let's just do this aggressive thing and then
Well,
backpedal on it.
it's like, yeah, I don't even want.
The-
It's just like
It's
how like video games like try to find a way to just squeeze that extra little bit of money out of people. You know, like come up with all these new ways to like try to
well,
get that money.
well, like even this week, there's a game that I'm super excited for called Biomutant. It's like an action, just like an action RPG type game, more of just a traditional action game, like a traditional Zelda or a Ratchet and Clank, or just like any kind of RPG fantasy adventure type of game.
Yeah.
Well, super excited. There's character classes, there's weapons. You can be like you do ranged builds, sword builds, technology. I think there's like turret based characters and things like that. Well, they came out this week and they're like, hey, so we know you guys are super excited for the game, and we're gonna give you this super awesome new trailer for this really sweet character class we haven't showed yet called the Mercenary, which is like a samurai sword wielding badass. And they're like, but wait, it gets even better. They hit us with you have to pre-order the game not only physically to get this character. It's locked behind a paywall. You have to pre-order it uh, digitally only to get the character. Physical pre-orders, they don't get it, and the character I think is going to be released down the road, is what they said. So it's not like a permanent paywall. But the fact is that they're pushing a character already before the game is out, so obviously it's ready to roll and ready to be played, and they're hiding it behind the paywall instead of putting it in the game. Triggered me pretty hard for a game that I've been waiting. I don't know. It got delayed for like a year or more. I've been waiting a pretty good while
I
for
feel
it, and
like
now
it's
it's
been delayed twice already, at least, right?
it's been it's been an intergalactic delay. I mean, it's been delayed for a while.
No, wasn't it announced like so? Like, I feel like that game was announced like 8 years ago or something. I feel like it was so long that I forgot that game existed and then remembered it like it was like a fever dream. I swear it was really, really, really long ago.
I'm trying to look and see when it was released. I mean, it was definitely 2019 is when it was like let's see, 2017. Oh my god! So it was originally supposed to release in 2018, and we're in 2021 now. And then they're gonna have the audacity to put a paywall for a character, and I don't know how to feel about it. Like maybe their development, I'm sure the development costs are out of control if it's been delayed that much.
The digital only part is really weird too. Like, what, couldn't they just put a code in like the physical copy of the game?
So my guess is because they're probably so squeezed for money, they're like, what can we do? And they're like, we can put a character behind a paywall in the digital version because developers make more money from the digital versions than they do physical games.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I can think of. But I hate it. I think it's horrible. I'm not gonna I learned my lesson, with Cyberpunk. Even though I love the game, I learned my lesson to never pre-order a game ever again. It just is not. It's not worth it. I'll wait till the reviews come out, and then if it's good, then I'll buy it. That's really all it comes down to. I don't know about you, but pre-ordering just isn't worth it anymore. Especially if you're going to go digital.
Yeah, it really it depends on the game specifically.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of something that like I would actually pre-order, and it's kind of hard to like if they came out with a new Final Fantasy Tactics, I'd probably pre-order it, especially if it came with something for pre-ordering it.
Okay.
But there's
Now,
like
when
a
you say when you say it came with something for pre-ordering it, are you talking about like in-game content that's going to be locked with the pre-order, or are you talking about like them sending you like a care package, like a T-shirt and like posters and stuff?
Um, Either or, really. Depends. Like, that's the whole thing with pre-orders. It's like they have to make it enticing to try to
Right.
get those pre-orders, like the video game companies. But at the same time, you don't want to break the game either. Or like,
Yeah, that's the concern. I know with Demon Souls on the PS5, they had a pre-order armor set, pre-order weapons, everything, but they were just reskins of weapons that are already in the game. So it wasn't like the worst.
yeah,
People were kind of upset about that because that was like, oh, this game's supposed. The whole like appeal of that game is that it's hard.
yeah.
So
I,
I don't know. I'm weird about the pre-order stuff. I'm weird about the paywall stuff to
I
an
mean,
extent. On a game that's been you're going to pay full price for anyway. You should be at least get the classes.
yeah,
The cosmetics and stuff are different.
the classes is a weird thing. That's like, I don't, but I don't know exactly how the classes work in that game. I know like it's
Mhm.
very customizable,
Mhm.
like extremely. So I'm not exactly sure. That's like a really, really weird thing. It's hard to say, but I understand. Like companies definitely have to. They want you to pre-order the game.
Yep. So they can start counting their profit early.
Yeah. Well,
That's why Cyberpunk was getting Game of the Year awards before before it even had released, right?
so like there's a huge, especially what nowadays. I think pre-orders are even more important. Because of Twitch, right?
Because of Twitch
Because
to build.
well, not only that, it's like say there's a game like a story like I love Uncharted. Say if Uncharted 3, 4, or 5 was coming out, right? They
Mhm.
want you to pre-order that game because if you don't buy it right away, I'll be playing it on Twitch and you could watch the entire fucking story of the game and then you might be like, "Oh, you know what? I don't even need to buy that game anymore. I just watched the entire fucking game."
I never thought about that at all. That's like actually that never crossed. I don't watch. I wouldn't probably. I've never watched a lot of story games like that on Twitch unless it's something that I wouldn't play. Like there's games that I would like. There's plenty of games I've realized I like to watch, but I don't like to play.
I I have and I don't end up playing those games. Like we have that mutual friend, Mr. Friendship on Twitch.
Mhm.
And like games are up on Game Pass. We'll both download them. I'll play him for like a little bit or something, and I'll end up watching him. And then he just streams so much, so often that I end up seeing like the entire game, and then I don't play it. Like
Yeah.
it was he streamed like the Medium. I downloaded that. I didn't play it right away. I watched him play it. I watched like almost the entire game, and I'm like, well, I don't need to play this game anymore.
Well, yeah, it kind of gets rid of the whole point of the whole point of a story game is to enjoy the story, right?
Yeah.
And if you got the story, then I guess you don't need to
Yeah,
play it.
and even all like the gameplay mechanics and parts, like there's when you're playing a video game, you're discovering new abilities and new like ways to like work within the game rules, you know. And if you watch someone do that, then you're like, well, I don't need to do this anymore. There's nothing for me to figure out. There's nothing for me to experience. Almost, I've like pretty much seen almost everything, you know.
I didn't think about that. So that's definitely like an aspect I didn't think of. Just the Twitch taking away from me needing to play the game. That is very, very, very interesting to me. I had no clue. That's smart.
I mean, it does depend on the game, but even I'm sure it even depends on the people. Like, I'm sure lots of people like it makes them want to play the game more,
It does.
depending on the game. And but then, like I said, with certain like story games or like
Mm.
it'll like change the game too. Like I'm sure you're familiar with Phasmophobia.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a huge fan of that game, probably because I watched it so much on Twitch that when I started playing it, there was no fear at all. I understood exactly how the mechanics worked. Like, but I know when the ghost appeared, it didn't mean anything. Nothing matters until that flashlight starts going, and then you just run, like you just
Yeah.
run somewhere and
Just book
hide,
it.
and it
Just
gets
book it.
you or it gets you. You know.
I don't know. See, I don't.
Now, if I'd probably like that game more if it would have scared the shit out of me for the first
See,
5-6
shit,
hours I played it.
It scares the shit out of me. So that's why I'm glad that I didn't watch it on Twitch. A lot of times on Twitch, I just go to watch stuff that I'm curious about too, like a game that I might be curious about, just to get like a small preview of it.
Yeah.
And then there's other times where I want to play the game and I don't want to be spoiled. I don't watch streams of it. Some of my favorite streamers will be playing a game that I really want to play. And I'm just like, hey, have a good stream, but I can't hang out because I want to play this game myself and enjoy it
Yeah.
myself. So I think that's just kind of one of those things you got to take the control on your own to be like, you
Yeah.
know what, enjoy your stream. Hey, I really hope you enjoy the medium. I'm gonna go like dip my toe in the water and play
Yeah.
it too myself. But
See that?
the stream thing is very, 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 very wild to me because my brain is so smooth. I never thought of that.
The thing about with the whole like watching people stream thing and like ruining games and this and that, it's like there's so many effing games out. Like my like to play list is like probably like 150 games at this point. That like if I get to watch my buddy play a game and enjoy his content, I'm just like, oh
Mhm.
thanks. So now I don't have to play that game. I still have 149 to go.
Well, there's so many games. There's so many games coming out, and like it's so saturated. The market is pretty saturated, and there's more good games than ever. Really,
Yeah.
there's so many good
Well,
games. So saturated. You got to really find what you like to play.
I don't know if you watched the ID at Xbox thing,
I did not.
but I'm pretty sure there was like 60 games announced, or like not all of them were announced, but there were 60 games on that. It was 4 hours long.
Too much. It's too much. Nobody has time for that. Like I don't. It's just it's too much. And honestly, it's a lot of games they feel very similar nowadays too. And that's like where I'm trying to like. I play a lot of indie stuff just to see if like different mechanics because everyone just does a lot of the same things anymore. A lot of the same stealth, a lot of the same open world. Go ping this type of stuff.
Yeah.
It's just so much. You can get the same experience and not really feel like you've missed out by playing some of the new games.
Yeah. It all depends on what you're into too. It's like if they made like I can't even think of an example, but it's like this type of game you play, but then it's licensed by a license you like. Like
Mhm.
you might like that more than you'd like another one. Like say
Like maybe you don't really like Assassin's Creed games, but you love Viking games, right?
yeah,
So Valhalla was for you, and you want to play it because it's Viking related, even though
yeah,
it's not a game that you would want. Uh, I
exactly.
get that.
Or like say like brawlers, like they're doing that new Ninja Turtles game. If you love Ninja Turtles, but you don't
Mhm.
want to play Streets of Rage 4, maybe you'll play the
Yep.
Ninja Turtles one, or whatever.
Just slapping it right on there. I get it. I always think of like, what do I think of? Like kart games. Love me some Mario Kart. And there's quite a few other kart games out there, and I'm just like, nope, give me Mario. I'm like, I want Mario karting specifically. That's like, I know you've been playing a lot of Mario Kart lately, and I play a lot of Mario Kart, so it's like I just have no interest in any of the other ones just because I already have that.
I
I don't
mean,
want to play that type of game. Like for me, karting, I just want to play it with Mario. It's just how I'm wired.
I think it's the Mario Kart is so honed in by this point. It's so refined that it's like objectively the best one.
Yeah.
It's like
I think it is. I mean, I've played some other ones and they're fine. Other kart races are fine, but they're
like
not Mario Kart.
the Sonic ones were okay. Like the Transformed, I think when it came out was really cool, or
Mhm.
whatever. Like those games are okay, but they're not as like they don't feel as good to play. And like that's a big thing. It's not necessarily I care so much that it's a Mario. It's just that
Mhm.
it's like that game is like really really good. Like it's balanced so well, and it's been because it's the eighth one, right?
Yeah, it's
They
the eighth
figured it
one.
out.
They've Nintendo. The rumors came out this week that it's been rolling forever, and I'm like I buy into it so hard as the Switch Pro, but I think we're finally getting to the point where like me speculating like hey there's gonna be a Switch Pro to like I think we're actually going
Yeah,
to get a Switch Pro. They say
supposed to come out this
Samsung
year.
Samsung has been saying they're making panels for it.
Yeah.
They've been doing data mining and they're seeing in-game data files for a new Switch revision update that supports up to 4K. And what it come out to? What was the big news this week? DLSS.
Well, yeah, it's because it's using an NVIDIA chip. That's what it's
Yeah.
going to be, and DLSS is by far the best, like super sampling, upsampling,
Mm-hmm.
like so much better than anything anybody else is doing.
It
But I've
is.
got an interesting question for you. So there's
Okay.
going to be a 7-inch screen OLED, but it's still 720p on the Switch, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you plug it into your TV, it's supposed to be upscaled. Now,
Okay.
i- if like the upscaling takes place in the actual physical dock, do you think it'd be a good idea for them to release the Switch Pro, right? But
Okay.
also sell those docks separately. So if you have a current Switch, you could just buy the 4K dock and put your current Switch into it, and you could get 4K. Do you think that's like a good idea? Do you think they should do something
Well,
like that?
first of all, we know Nintendo will never do that. That's a good idea, but Nintendo's too greedy. I don't think they would get on board with it. But I would love that. I
No,
think.
I think
Go ahead.
it's they would make more money doing that because from what I hear, the rumors is like this Switch. It's not like it's going to be so much more expensive, right?
Right.
So
So
like
this is how big is this screen?
6.2.
6.2.
Yep.
So we're going up to a 7-inch. So probably like a little bit wider, like maybe that much wider, just a little bit bigger.
But the thing is, if you get rid of those borders, that's probably about 7 inches. If
It
it just
probably is.
went edge to
If they go
edge,
edgeless.
yeah. So they wouldn't
I don't.
necessarily have to change the form factor of the Switch at all.
So you're thinking, but so they need to fix the Joy Cons. These are garbage. They drift on everybody.
Yeah, well,
That's one of
that's a completely separate thing, though. Like,
well, if they're gonna do a pro revision, you think they'll fix that with it? They'll probably fix the Joy Cons with a pro revision.
mm,
Well, you don't sound convinced. You don't
well,
sound convinced
what do
they're
you
gonna
mean
fix
by
it.
like? Do you just mean like make them work, but keep them
They
exactly the same, or come up with a whole new set of
they
Joy
break
Cons?
all the time. There's class action lawsuits all over the world for these things because
Yeah,
they
yeah,
break
I
nonstop.
know the problem, but when you say fix, do you mean like change them, or
Well,
just have
the issue is just
have
the
them?
joysticks they use. Like they're going to probably revise. I would imagine they would revise the joysticks, would they not, to sensors that are rated to a longer life wear?
Yeah, yeah,
Because these
but
sensors inside these joysticks are only rated to like a certain number of cycles. So why would they, if they're going to make a more expensive pro console, I really hope they go out of their way to put better joysticks in it and just avoid the issues altogether.
yeah, but it would still be the same,
Like the
like
same look.
the exact
Like it's
same form factor, like the Joy
Mhm.
Cons. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, if it gets bigger, depending on
Yeah,
how the screen gets bigger, they'll probably get a little larger.
yeah.
But
So
I'm
then they
okay with
wouldn't be compatible, right? So it'd be like a whole new thing. Because I know people buy all the different colors. They spend hundreds and hundreds on Joy Cons. Imagine they aren't compatible with the new Switch.
that's Nintendo. That's like the thing, you know. The only people who seem to be caring about backwards compatibility is Microsoft anymore. So Nintendo's just like, hey, sorry, tough tits,
I
right?
think Nintendo's going to start running out of goodwill eventually.
Man, people, me included, I fucking love me some Mario, man. I fucking love Mario, and every single one of them's been good. They've literally done an entire console generation on rebranding and re-releasing
Yeah,
all their old games.
because it was
They haven't
on the last console that no one bought because Nintendo's not a
because
sure thing. You
yeah,
like they can't fuck around too much. They tried
this
that with
had
the Wii U and look what happened.
this generation of console had to be so ridiculously profitable. I can think of Mario Odyssey. Anything else like real big first party that was exclusive? Splatoon 2, Mario Odyssey.
Breath of the Wild.
No, Breath of the Wild was a Wii U game.
I know it was on Wii U, but like nobody had a Wii U. It was dual though. Like it wasn't like it was ported from the Wii U. It came out on Switch.
I have a Wii U.
Yeah,
That's
I had a Wii U as well, but I'm
as you can
saying
tell, I definitely play it, but no, I get it. But like the thing is that game was designed to be a Wii U game, Breath of the
yeah,
Wild. Like it was, and then they're like, man, this console's
but
flopping hard.
the
They just
difference
flopped it over.
between the Switch and the Wii U isn't that much as far as like graphics go.
It's really not. It really is. It's obviously in thickness. There's a generational jump there in thickness and size, but I can't think of really anything other than maybe Mario Odyssey that is a first party banger that was in Smash.
Well, Smash is definitely Animal Crossing is like one of their best selling games.
Yeah, I didn't think of Animal Crossing. I guess that is kind of one of their games. Right?
Pokemon Sword and Shield is one of their
That was
best
a
selling
3DS
games.
game. That was a 3DS port. You know, when you play that game, it was a 3DS
What?
game that
No,
like,
that's not a port.
if you look at like the engine that it's built on with like the
Well,
graphics and all
just because
that,
they
it was
use the
weird.
same engine doesn't make it a port, man.
Well, I think that game started on 3DS. They were making
I
that
don't
game
think
for
so.
3DS, and then the Switch came out, and they're like, "This thing's killing it. Let's just give the people that on Switch." Because if you look at the difference of like Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu's graphics versus
Yeah, but
Sword and Shield,
the
pretty big
gameplay's different completely, though. I don't think Sword and Shield was designed to be on 3DS.
I don't know. I think it was, but that's just me. I feel like it like really didn't
But
utilize
regardless, it's still an
exclusive.
exclusive.
Yeah, yeah. But even said that, that's a whole generation of consoles, and we're not like pounding off a list of exclusives. And the console
Yeah.
generation for the Switch is coming pretty close to an end. Versus the PS4 generation's exclusives. I mean, there's a whole stack of exclusives back there that I have
You're
that are PS4 games.
you're forgetting about Luigi's Mansion 3, the biggest
Oh,
game of all.
so people love Luigi's Mansion, and I just don't.
I haven't played it yet. I have it.
It was whatever. I sold
I,
it to a buddy. It was whatever for me. It was like a puzzle. I'm not a puzzle like game like that type of guy. It just
I liked
doesn't.
the 3DS one, but yeah, they have come out with like a lot more games, like the Paper Mario game that came out. They had a Mario Tennis game that came out.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely good games, and there's a lot of good ones coming. But they've definitely made their money back off of re-releases this generation. So
Yeah,
I'm hoping Switch Pro comes out. Give me Mario Kart 9. Give me Breath of the Wild 2. Give me like some sort of Zelda collection, for the 35th anniversary if we get Switch Pro this year, and
do
I'd be
you
happy.
do you think they're gonna come out with another Mario Kart for Switch?
Dude, that Mario Kart 8 is a Wii U game. I got
I
it
know.
on Wii U at release, and they didn't do anything but just pre-package it with the DLC and
Yeah,
let you get 2 boxes instead of 1. So they need to do something. I fucking love Mario Kart. It's one of my favorite
yeah,
games of all time, and I really hope that they do something because I want a new Mario Kart experience.
yeah.
They're past due,
I
and
don't think they're gonna make one.
what do you think they're gonna? That's one of
I,
the most valuable IPs.
yeah, I know because it's still selling. It's still their best selling game. I don't think they're going to. I think they're gonna wait till whatever the next Nintendo thing is to make one. Honestly,
Well, that's what Switch Pro will be, don't you think? Don't you think Switch Pro is going to be a generational jump instead of just? It's going to be weird, isn't it?
no, no,
They're gonna make it weird, aren't they?
it's the new 3DS XL is what it is.
I mean,
Like, do you know,
yeah, the new 3DS
obviously,
XL had games that only it could run.
yeah, but it still ran all the 3DS games, and like 99% of the games that came out would run on both, but only like one or two games. I feel like they're gonna do some shit like that.
Nintendo, I, if it wasn't for their IPs and for their games all being so fucking good, because their games are so fucking good. Like I have not played a shitty Nintendo game in forever. They wouldn't be able to get away with this bullshit. They wouldn't. But because their IPs are so good, they will continue to just be able to get away with it. And I myself, Mr. Fucking I hate these companies and these corporations and they're taking advantage of us. I'll just keep on feeding into it because their games are so fucking good. So
Um,
I don't know, man. It's interesting.
yeah,
It's very, very
I can
interesting.
tell you this: the Switch Pro is not like a new generation.
You think you don't think okay. I
For
didn't know if
sure.
that
It's just like the DSi or whatever. It's the same gen for sure, 100%.
like the same
But
basic like, hardware type of like same type of console.
whether it's going to have exclusive games or not, I can't say for sure. They shouldn't do that, but it's possible. And I don't even know if they're going to be up. Like I said, they might even not be upgrading the hardware. Like they might not like it still could have like the X1, like the Nvidia X1 in there, and they could just put some sort of chip in the dock that upscales. Like it might be basically like just the exact same power and everything. Like
I'm okay with it, and I'm okay with that because
like
the Switch is. I have zero complaints about the Switch other than it's the shitty graphics.
if they get like a better cooling solution, even
Hmm.
like the X1, I swear the Switch is only using like half or less of like what that chip can do.
Yeah.
So like they don't even have to change anything to make it
And this
run
is their
better.
cooling. That's the
Yeah,
cooling right there. I mean, there's not a lot going on there as far as cooling goes. So they get. I mean, if they put a chip in the dock is kind of a thick boy. And they can put a
yeah,
fan in the dock with a chip, and
yeah.
I'm not a hardware guy when it comes to consoles. Like I don't know anything about building a console, but I think they could make they're definitely going to be able to make it more powerful. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see. I'm all about a
Oh,
Switch Pro. I'm gonna fucking try to get it on launch day, man. If there's a Switch Pro coming, like sign me up.
they
OLED
could.
screen. I know you asked about the OLED screen being only a 720p, but this is a small screen, man.
Yeah,
Your pixel density is a thing. So I think instead of trying to cram more pixel density in there and getting diminishing returns, they are probably just going to give you a crisp. Hopefully, what would be interesting is a refresh rate, but just give me a very crisp, buttery smooth display with nice lighting and just smooth out 720p as best as you can, I guess.
another problem is if like you said they're definitely going to make it more powerful, which I'm not 100% convinced on. If
Okay.
they do, then it's it's almost like the temptation is too great for them to start releasing exclusive Twitch or Switch Pro games, which is gonna like fragment the user base and like it's gonna be really effed up if they do that. That's why there's no PS4 Pro only games or Xbox One X only games.
Honestly, all they need, just give us more resolution. You know, that's all. Their games art styles aren't fucking earth shattering. You know, like they're not like. I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, look at the ray tracing on Mario's nose. No, like just give me some more resolution. So when I hook it up to my 4K TV, it doesn't look like garbage. That's really all I'm asking for. You know, Breath of the Wild is a gorgeous game. Just give me a little bit more, like less choppiness and make it run smoother.
Yeah.
Just give me a little boost. So we'll see. It's gonna be definitely be interesting. I'm excited for it. I think. Are you excited for it? I mean,
Well, time will tell.
yeah. I mean, I
I
just bought the new red Switch because I was like, I want a regular Switch, and they're not going to release a Switch Pro. You know, they keep saying they're not going to release a Switch Pro. Then I bought this, and they're like, oh hey, sorry, I guess we're releasing a Switch Pro. So yeah, it's one of those things. It's just another one of those things where they're like, hey, we're Nintendo, give us your fucking money, and they'll keep getting it. They're going to keep on getting it. So that's the Nintendo's fucking. Let's move on to what kind of games we're playing, because at the end of the day, that's kind of what we've been spending our time doing. I know you've been playing a ton of games, like we talked about at the start of the podcast. I've been playing quite a few games as well, kind of really falling down the rabbit hole of truck simulators and shooters. So, you know, I myself have been playing Risk of Rain 2. Are you familiar with that game at all?
have no idea what that is.
Okay, well, you should find out. Risk of Rain 2, I bought that game like day one, maybe day two of its early access release, and I've played it on and off throughout its entire development structure. They developed it; it got a 1.0 release. They were adding content all through the early access. The game was great, and it just got its year one update. So it's been out. It's been in full release for a year. They added another character and they added a bunch more items, more gameplay, and more level structure. And the point of the game is it's like a roguelike. So you start out with a character that's got four abilities, like a right click, a left click, a movement ability, and a special. As the world goes on, you get money for killing enemies, and there's chests that you open that have randomized loot in them. And the randomized loot can be anything from you shoot your right click faster. So if I have a guy that uses like a bow and arrow, they'll shoot their bow and arrow faster. So your DPS just goes up by default. All the way to like red items that make it so every time you kill an enemy, all the enemies around you explode with an icy shockwave. And more or less, there's a timer on the side, and it just scrolls all the way across the screen. And difficulty goes up, the enemy's health goes up, the timer goes, and then you're just running through levels. So you'll clear a level out of all the enemies. Then there's a teleporter at the end where you summon a boss, you kill the boss, and then you go to the next level. and you're just banking money, and the chests get more and more expensive, and you just stack a build. You can do that like infinitely and just keep running into a never-ending loop, or you can go to the end of the level and you fight a big boss and then you beat the game. And that's what I've been playing nonstop. The year one update, the characters they added are amazing. The balance has been fucking incredible. Item balance is good, and it's a game that basically encourages you to get a little luck because the items are all RNG. But if you get a luck, you can get on a completely broken build to where the one I was doing last night, I could literally stand still, and I had so many passives going that if an enemy got near me, they just died. So we would spawn the boss, and I had 2 turrets that I'd put on the ground that would heal me as long as I wasn't moving. And then as I was healing, I had an ability that would shoot missiles as I was being healed to protect you. So there's just missiles flying out of my body, just destroying everything. So I would summon the boss, throw the turrets down, and I would have so much healing the boss couldn't damage me, and it would just rain missiles nonstop. And as I would get items that would make me heal faster. The more healing, the faster and more missiles damage, and the faster they would come out. So it just fucking snowballed. We were on a run last night that was 2.5 hours before we died, just cycling it over and over and over. It was eventually the game is just like, all right, buddy, no more. And then you get hit, like you get the fucking one clap of your life where it just like it taps you and you're done. But it was, dude, I highly recommend it to anybody out there who likes roguelike games to give it a shot. It's a development team of like 6 people. It runs amazingly. It looks really good. I can't recommend it enough. What about you? What are you playing? Like what's getting you like all excited? That like something that's really good you've played.
There's nothing. No.
Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing's good.
Let me tell you guys
sucks.
about. He's like, let me tell you guys about Apex Legends. No, I'm just kidding. What do you got for me?
Well, there's a game came out yesterday I played.
Okay.
It is a little game by a small company called Square Enix. You may have heard of them.
Yeah, they did Final Fantasy VII, right?
No, I think they did Final Fantasy VI and Final Fantasy VIII.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, Outriders came out yesterday.
Oh, day one on Game Pass, right?
Yes, but only on console.
No.
Yes.
So you had to pay for it.
I had to pay 80 Canadian dollars for that game.
I'm actually pretty upset by that, but
I'm not gonna don't even get me started. Because not only like I was thinking about getting a game, and then they teased that they were going to put it on Game Pass, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, this is coming to Game Pass because it was me and Friendship were like, should we get Monster Hunter Rise or Outriders? And we were debating the whole time. And I'm like, oh shit, we could just buy Monster Hunter because Outriders is coming to Game Pass. We get both games, and then they announce it, and it's only for console.
I had no clue. I was thinking about playing it this weekend. I was like, I'm just gonna download Outriders this weekend and see what it's all about.
Yeah,
they're trying to move. They're trying to like give people a reason to buy the Series X. Is what they're trying to do.
I don't know if it was an Xbox decision or like a Square Enix decision. It's hard to say.
How's the game? Is it good though? Is it at least good for your 80 Canadian dollars?
Well, it had server issues yesterday. It had optimization issues. They're telling everyone to try to run it in DX11 because it was like there's lots of like stuttering and micro stutters, and it was kind of rough, but somehow it got better throughout the day. So I don't know how that happened.
So you're saying a AAA game came out with issues?
Yeah, I know. It's surprising, right? Especially an online only game where the servers don't work and you can't play it, even if you're playing by yourself.
No, I'm being facetious, but like did you get to play it at least? Like you said, it got better as the day went on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it came out at 12. For some reason, Steam had to unpack the game for like 45 minutes. They let me pre-order it and pre-download it, but not have it just like click play. It had to do all the shit like for like 25 minutes before I got to play it.
Of course.
But it was like I played the demo, so my character was ready to go. We got into the game. We played for like an hour and a half. Crashed. Could not sign back in. I tried for like half hour.
Hmm.
So I ended up playing like Fall Guys for a little while. Came back. Played it for another like 2-3 hours. Crashed. Could not get back in. Took a nap. Got up at
Slept,
10
oh, you
o'clock.
slept, oh, you
Played
slept off
fine.
your new game hangover. It
I
sounds like you
played
slept
fine
off.
until 5 a.m. So
You like it?
um, it is really, really fun. It's way better than the demo was. So if anyone who's played the demo and thought that game was like, yeah, because that's what I was thinking from the demo. I was like, meh. But I'm like,
Yeah.
at the same time, I realized that I did every side quest in the demo. So I'm like, I must have liked it enough that I just didn't stop playing. Like after I beat the story of the demo, I like went to every single side quest in it to finish it. So I obviously liked it enough.
Hmm.
But yeah, the actual game is way, way better than the demo. Like it has crafting in it and like modding your weapons. Well, that is the crafting.
Right.
And there's like creatures, like giant creatures to fight, like giant boss fights of crazy creatures and shit that weren't in the demo, and like way more areas. And it's
I
just
heard it's
super
kind of. I heard
fun.
the story. I heard the story is a little cringy. Did like I heard like the
This,
story in the demo was kind of cringy. Like it had
yes,
like weird like, shaking camera and like it was just like
it's
real.
better. Like the
It's better.
cutscenes are running better. The story isn't great, but it's entertaining. It's funny. Like
It's
it's
an attempt, right? Like it's like a looter shooter that at least is making an attempt at a story.
yeah. The story is definitely not terrible. Like I watch all
Okay,
the cutscenes now, whereas like after like the first couple of the demo, I just skipped them all
I got you.
to a point, and I actually watch them now because they're kind of funny. Like the character's kind of a dick, and like a lot of characters kind of dickish, but in a funny way. So like I'll watch the cutscenes because they're amusing to me. Like the characters, there's lots of crazy characters, and yeah, it's actually pretty entertaining. So I the story's definitely not trash or anything like that. It's good enough.
Okay. How is the which class are you playing? Are you doing like a melee? Is there a melee class or is it all shooting? I know there's like the rock guy that does like the stone armor. Is
That's
that what you're
like
doing?
I am the technomancer.
Okay, so is that like
I'm
electrical like
ranged.
magic? Your range?
It
Oh, of course.
it's actually ice for some reason. It's like
Ice. Okay.
I don't know why.
Techno just says the electric to me. You know, it was like
Yeah,
Technomancer. Okay, he probably does like electric
yeah.
and
No, I'm
robot.
like a sniper. I could throw turrets that shoot out ice, and I have like a rocket launcher slash minigun that just wrecks everything, and some other abilities like I can freeze people. Just and I'm also a healer class. That's like the only healer class in the game.
Okay,
But the person I'm playing with, friendship, he's like the fire dude, pyromancer. He burns shit. You know, typical shit.
gotcha. Just burning everything up, just exploding everything. So I mean,
Like he turns
I would
people
be
to
willing
ash, which like weakens their armor and shit like that. So it kind of works well. Like if he's up there weakening people, and I'm just like popping
to.
heads, and he could run back and get a quick heal off me and run back in, stuff like that. The
Okay,
gameplay is actually really, really fun. Like I don't know what it is. I can't explain why it is, but it's super fun.
it's
I
third
think
person,
it's
right?
yeah.
Third person.
It
Okay.
plays like Gears of War. Like if you like Gears of War, like the cover system, that is like the people who made this game made Gears Judgment, I believe.
Isn't people may fly involved in this game?
Yes,
It
I
is.
believe
Okay,
so.
they did Bulletstorm as well, right?
Yes.
Okay.
If I if I there's a Bulletstorm reference in this game. It's pretty funny. But it is like it does play like Gears. Like the cover system is you could tell it's like Gears cover system.
Hmm.
But like the cool part of it, which like I haven't got into as much as friendship, is like the weapon modding system. Like you collect like all those guns, you could just like scrap because it's like looter shooters. Fucking, you get a new gun every 10 seconds. But like you could like take like the mods off guns and put them on other guns. Like say if your favorite gun gets like kind of outdated, like you could take all your favorite parts of it and put it to this new gun you found.
Put it to the new gun, carry the build
So
over.
like
Okay.
friendship had like this lightning thing. If he shot them, it would like strike them with lightning and slow them super slow. So like it's super easy for me to snipe them and stuff like that. And he like carried that mod through all the different guns he was using. It was really like all the different like mods and like abilities and everything just meshes together so cool.
Yeah, it
Like
looks like they did. I see that they've got a pretty reputable little resume here. It's very sporadic, but I heard of Painkiller, like the old Painkiller games,
yeah.
and then it looks like they did Gears of War. They did the PC port. They did Bulletstorm, Gears Judgment, and then they actually can you believe they did Fortnite?
Yeah, I heard about that. And I
They did Fortnite, and then they did Outriders. So I mean, it looks like they know third person shooters. Like that's what they've done. Looks like they've pretty much only exclusively done third person.
yeah.
They're actually a pretty new company. What they oh okay. So they used to be Epic Games Poland. That's interesting. And then they kind of went independent. Yeah, that's very interesting. Okay, so they used to be owned by Epic, which is funny because now Epic's buying everything, and these guys are separate. Yeah,
yeah.
like, like I wonder what let them walk away. That's interesting because Epic's just like, let me just buy everything right now. Is Outriders on Epic Store or is it on Steam?
I bought it off Steam. I think it's on Epic as well. And it's obviously on Xbox and
It'll probably be on Epic's homepage. I'm booting up Epic right now to see. There it is. Yep, Outriders right there. Huh. Interesting. Very interesting.
but
It'll
yeah,
probably do
it's
free.
super fun. It's not a game as a service, which is
Yeah,
weird because it is built like one.
yeah, it's got a story and it just ends. There's just going to be an end and there's going to be expansions, like more traditional setup.
Yeah.
That's cool. Hey, I'd be willing to. I'd take a peek.
It's really, really fun, especially if you're playing with your friends. But it's just like I don't know. It's like I don't know. I guess like Borderlands 2 was like that for me too, where it's just like so much fun. I guess
Yeah.
I could compare it to something like that. Like if you liked Borderlands, like just the chaos of like giant battles with crazy enemies and getting guns with all these special abilities and stuff like that, you'd probably like that game.
You have to get. We'll
Obviously,
have to get an update next week. You have to let me know how you feel about it next week
yeah.
once we get back and just kind of see because I'm
We'll see what
curious.
happens. I might be done it by next week, so I could have like a full,
Like a full review.
yeah, yeah. Well, at least a full experience. I've played it for probably. It says I played it for 13 hours on Steam, but I'm guessing 3 hours of that was like trying to connect to the server. So, but I played it for at least 10 hours yesterday, and
Same
it's
idea.
still super super fun. So,
Good. Well, this has been good. I think this went well. It's been good talking to you, Fox. I hope hope you have a good week. Everybody out there, make sure you follow Fox Hard on Twitch. That's F0XHARD. Is that the same on Twitter?
yes.
And are you on any other social medias, or is those are the two you mainly use with Fox Hard?
Uh, I do also have a YouTube channel that I'm gonna put like clips and stuff on, but there's nothing on there right now.
Okay,
Same
so he's
same
gonna be
thing for
working on it.
YouTube.
Yeah, he's gonna be working on a YouTube channel. We'll put the social media links down below for Fox Hard. Obviously, you guys know me, Flamingo Ron. I go by Ronelius with two S's. I have a Twitter that I'm very active on. I live stream on Twitch 3 to 4 nights a week, sometimes 5 if I'm feeling a little frisky. And obviously, you guys know us from the podcast. So we'll make sure we get the socials down below. Give us a follow. I have a Discord. I'll put a Discord link in the down below. Pop into the Discord, kind of keep an idea of what we're going on with streams, community stuff. Even the podcast going to kind of be working that in. And let us know down below in the comments what games you're playing, what games you're excited about. Anything coming up that you'd love to hear us talk about. We're always looking for feedback. And most of all, thank you for your time and have a great day.
See ya.